News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 57 degrees with partly cloudy skies, wind out of the southwest at around 10 miles per hour. Tonight mostly clear and a low around 33. Heading into tomorrow, another nice day on tap, a high near 63 with mostly sunny skies, winds gusting as high as 25 out of the west. 20% chance of rain before midnight tomorrow night with a low of 35. Then mostly sunny and the temperature dropping down to a high of 42 on Wednesday. We are live with Wildcat Insider next on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. This is Wildcat Insider with the Mercury sports editor Tim Everson and KMAN sports director Mitch Fortner.
Well, Klein has a offensive coordinator, and that means gonna have to send some phone calls. I'm sorry, sir, but the position has been filled. For all the positions.
I think so.
They're all done. Plus, we're going to hear from Chris Klieman, who gave an exclusive interview to the Manhattan Mercury about the decision to retire, him stepping away from the college game and why, and having a conversation with Colin Klein about taking over as the head coach of K-State football. We're going to hear from the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, and here to lead off in just a moment, K-State men's basketball starts 0-3 in Big 12 play, and right now they're struggling in three very key areas. That is most likely the reasons that K-State is off to a poor start in conference play. Phone lines, text lines are open for the next couple of hours, 785-537-1350. And coming up at 6 o'clock, we will have the Jeff Mitty Show. I'm Mitch Fortner from PowerCat Game Day and from the Manhattan Mercury. Tim Everson to my right. Cole Dutchendorf is across the glass. He'll take your phone calls. We'll take those texts as well, like I mentioned, as well, as we talk Cats here for the next couple of hours. And we were just talking, Tim, before we came on air. No, the K-State women didn't win on Saturday. They almost pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in program history against a really good Utah team. I kind of downgraded them last week, and then it turns out they're upsetting folks, and then they roll into Manhattan, and they just kind of looked like they're just like on a completely another level than K-State, and then the Cats get within 4 after they trailed by 19 points in the fourth quarter. And Tess Heel's going off right now.
She is. I mean, I somewhat jokingly tweeted on Saturday, fourth quarter Tess Heel is the greatest college basketball player in America. She just seems to win, it's getting late on time and they need a scorer. She locks in. She, becomes very aggressive, gets to the hoop, gets to the line. Usually didn't happen on Saturday, but happened when their win over Houston. It's what K-State needs for sure to be successful because they're just having trouble finding consistent scoring. But she admitted this herself. It's got to start probably coming a little earlier in the games. And
I appreciate that, that ownership. You hear leadership there as well. It's unfortunate. You wish the K-State women had one more Tess Heel. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just talking about leadership. I'm talking experience. Yeah, got that dog in them. Leads by example. Really, right now, to me, if there's one difference between the women and the men who are not having their best seasons, two different teams for sure. But the women do have that sense of urgency. If they don't play their best game in the first 3 quarters, they're gonna turn it on to another level, and they're gonna threaten anybody that they're gonna play. Yeah. I truly get that from them. I'm honestly, with how young and inexperienced this team is, I'm surprised they've been doing as well at times, and then we see them play like, kind of what you expect out of a team so young. Seal, though, she had 21 in the fourth quarter against Houston. Do you know how many she had against Utah in the fourth quarter?
I believe it was like 16, I think.
That's incredible.
That sounds right.
Now, she is right, though. You would like to have a lot of that also in the first half, third quarter.
You'd like to not fall behind by 24 midway through the third quarter. You'd like to not do that.
That's very true. And K-State's defense wasn't great.
No.
Utah shot over 50% for the game. They were hitting their threes. K-State's had some real hot and cold moments this season shooting threes. But, I mean, this just is kind of one of those moral victories type of seasons. Like, you'll just kind of take them when you can get them, and hopefully they can build upon that. And I still feel this way. Like, they can't beat everybody, but there's a lot of teams this team can beat, and there's a lot of teams this team will lose to. They can lose to. Meanwhile, gosh, this K-State men's basketball team, there was a sense of urgency, but it didn't show up until like the final 60 seconds or 2 minutes of the game. The Cats hurt themselves with a drought that lasted about 7 minutes, where Arizona State outscored K-State 20-6. And K-State wasn't hitting any shots. They were missing free throws. Let me know if you've heard that one before. Arizona State, that was a quad 2 game for K-State, and they're on the road. Mm-hmm. So, that tells you that's a very gettable game for K-State. It should be. Hardly anybody was there. Really light crowd on a Saturday in Tempe, Arizona. Really solid party town. Great bar district there, not too far from the arena, and hardly anybody was there. Like, Arizona State men's basketball is so irrelevant. Maybe K-State men's basketball, I wouldn't say as irrelevant as with the people showing up. I still think we'll see a good crowd on hand, maybe, on Wednesday against UCF. But wins and losses and being on the national level of just conversation and being in the hunt for the NCAA tournament, very irrelevant. And they start 0-3 in Big 12 play, losing by 3 points to the Sun Devils. You got that sense of urgency. Hell of a banked-in 3 by P.J. Haggerty. Like, he was starting to put the team on his shoulders. But, Tim, this team falls short 87-84. Your takeaways, as I'm sure you watched some of this maybe from Bramlage before the women tipped off.
I had the first half on while I was kind of getting ready, and then, got to experience double really, really bad basketball as watching the end of that game and the start of the K-State women's game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Arizona State also was without like half of their team because of injury.
I don't know about half. I would say maybe half have had some banged up moments this season.
Yeah.
Some guys have missed time. Some guys have struggled to come back and give you like truly significant minutes. They did have their 3 best players, and they all played a considerable amount of minutes, like what you probably would expect from like Maurice Odom. He played 38 minutes. That's not a surprise. Pig Johnson, he started the game, but I think some foul trouble came into play there. And then same thing for Masamba Jop. He ran into foul trouble as well. So that's kind of where K-State played their best basketball, is when 2 of the 3 best players were dealing with foul trouble. One's on the bench or the other one's on the bench. Jop comes back in at the 11:40 mark of the second half, and that's when K-State started to stink, and I think that's takeaway number 1. K-State is struggling greatly against anybody with length, with size. Anybody that's 7 foot or 6'10", and maybe can bench press a few more pounds than K-State's bigs. K-State is struggling big time in a number of those areas where it could be big on big. K-State is failing to box out on these rebounds, and I've been preaching that for honestly years now with this Jerome Tang era. That is one fundamental that K-State is struggling in greatly. Tim, K-State got not shut out, but they got boxed out in the paint. 50-28 in points. 50-28. Masaba Jop, by the way, had 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks in the game.
Yeah. That's true freshman also, right?
Yeah, from Senegal.
Yeah, it's so that is bad. Everything that you just said there is bad. They also commit like 10 more fouls than Arizona State did.
I got the numbers, man. It's there. Like I said, there's 3 categories that K-State is struggling in right now. It's killing them: rebounding, fouling, and paint points. And I'm going to throw even more numbers in there as well. Like there was one number I couldn't believe how lopsided it was, but I could believe it also at the same time. Let me start with rebounding, because these are the 3 games in Big 12 play. I'm just going to run down the numbers. We're going to go comparison, K-State against opponents. Rebounding. K-State in the first 3 games of Big 12 play have been out-rebounded 147 to 101. Offensive rebounding, K-State's been out-rebounded by 10 in the 3 games, so not the biggest margin.
That is bad.
Free throw attempts, K-State 59. Opponents 98. Fouls, K-State, and this is probably bugging me more than anything, they cannot defend without fouling. K-State has committed in the first 3 games of Big 12 play 78 fouls. The opponents 52. That's a nightmare. That's terrible. Paint points. K-State is 112 in Big 12 play. The opponents, 138. And the other big number I want to pull up, because, again, Big's coming into play here, just block shots. K-State in Big 12 play so far has blocked 9 shots, 3 a game. The opponents, 24.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I was vaguely aware of some of the other ones, but that is such a horrifying disparity.
K-State opponents are averaging 8 blocked shots a game.
What in the
against
world?
This K-State offense?
Oh my! Yeah, I mean it's and you can see it. There's just nothing if they're not hitting from outside, which to I guess their credit, they had a pulse from outside. That's the only reason why this was as close as it was, and the only reason why they pulled away momentarily at the the beginning of the second half. Yeah, I mean it's hard to even say anything because it feels like that says everything.
There's one number that is completely misleading, and that is K-State's 3-point defense in Big 12 play so far. It looks really good, but it's really just these teams are missing the shots. So I wouldn't really credit a whole lot to K-State's defense. I mean, the closeout defense is all right. I honestly, I thought against Arizona State it wasn't too bad, but they also missed a ton of shots. But in the last 2 games, the opponents, Arizona and Arizona State, made a total of combined 3 6-pointers, 3 each.
Yeah.
And K-State still lost these games, and certainly handily by Arizona, but Arizona State wins by 3 on their home floor. A lot's going wrong right now. I guess it was nice to see K-State. I mean, they gave themselves a shot because 3-pointers were going in, and K-State made 13 against Arizona State. It is mind-boggling that a team can make 10 more threes in a game than their opponent and still lose. Still lose. I mean, they have to try to pull a comeback, a prayer out of their butt in the final moments just to try to tie the game.
And they're not going to hit 13 every game.
I mean, that's a Big 12. I believe that's a Big 12 best so far. I have to go double-check that. 13 for 31. I mean, shooting 42% from 3 after K-State was struggling mightily from 3 in the 2 previous games in conference play is honestly amazing. When we know they can do it, it's not every night, but we know they can do it. And when you have it happening, you have to win those games. You got to really start throwing the excuses out the window. The moral victories, there's none. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, which we know at their best, they're hitting a bunch of threes, and Abdi Bashir, he hit 12. That's why he's here. I mean, this probably needs to be talked about more. I mean, it's like second year in a row. It's a Brendan Hansen.
Yeah.
Just basically can shoot threes. It's really all he adds to the equation. Something you want to add there, Cole?
We go back to the post-game press conference of the Louisiana-Monroe game, and Coach Ting, I believe, said it was we can beat anyone in the Big 12 and lose to anyone in the Big 12. He was half right. They can lose to anyone in the Big 12. That's kind of what it feels like through the first 3 games of the season.
They should have won on Saturday. And for them to not win that game it's a pretty major issue right now. I said starting with this game, they need to win 3 of their next 4. And now the odds of winning these next 3 games seem pretty slim. UCF, I can't believe they're a top 25 team. They're a top 25 team. They're going to be ranked coming in on Wednesday. The Cats will play Utah. Boy, I mean, if you don't win that game, it's rock bottom.
Yeah.
And then you got in there as well, you got a road trip to Oklahoma State, which I was accounting for that one to be the loss. Mm-hmm. You're more likely to win against Arizona State on the road than you are probably at Oklahoma State. I would hope the Cowboys are bringing more fans into Gallagher-Iba. They probably deserve it a little more. They're not off to a bad start.
They had a nice non-conference. I mean, I would imagine that they have, not as nice as the women, but
yeah, J.C. Hoyt has a team.
Yeah,
she has a team that can score and hit a lot of threes. Yeah. So with K-State playing on Wednesday, I hardly have any optimism moving forward, but we will have PowerCat Game Day at 5 p.m., and the game tips off at 7. That'll be right here on News Radio KMAN and also on 101.5 K-Rock. PJ Haggerty, 25 points, 22 from Abdi Bashir, 8 points apiece from Elias Rapiak and Kamari McGriff. Elias did hit some pretty sick threes in that game. Kamari has an issue with foul trouble right now. Mm-hmm. He's running into too much foul trouble. He's fouling often in the second half early, and that keeps him on the bench for a while. That's going to really hurt K-State's post presence. I appreciate Dorian Buka from all the effort he's giving. He had 5 points, 8 rebounds, no turnovers, a couple of field goal makes, but defensively, I mean, it felt like he should have had 6 blocks in the game, but he was like a step late every time. And it feels like as somebody who's 7'2", being a step behind smaller players, some of them were scoring, they're a foot shorter than him. To be a step behind on these blocks seemed kind of hard to do, yet it's a microcosm of the issues this K-State team is having currently.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's been. This has been a problem the past couple of years, and people have said it. You don't see the game by game improvement that you would hope to see with a team like this, especially a team that has been cobbled together with almost all new pieces. It just seems like they kind of lose their way more and more every game that we go on, and that's frustrating. I mean, this is not the team. Maybe it is the team that beat Cal and fought off a comeback at Cal. I don't know. It is so puzzling and frustrating that it's hard to really say anything else aside from it's unacceptable, and you don't really know where to go from here. UCF, that is a toss-up at best. Utah, if you don't beat the worst team in the Big 12, you got problems, and then, you're probably going to lose to Oklahoma State.
I mean,
and then you're going to get to play the actually good teams in the Big 12.
If you struggle against Utah,
you are the worst team in the Big 12.
You become the worst team in the Big 12. You deserve to be booed off the floor, and I doubt there's any recovery at that point. It's done. It's over.
That's like heads rolling territory.
Ken Palm gives K-State a 51%. There you go. Here's your toss-up. A 51% chance of winning on Wednesday, 29% at Oklahoma State. K-State right now with a 79% chance of beating Utah.
Man, Utah's so
That's
bad.
too close. It should be a 90-something% chance because Utah is awful.
Yeah.
Awful. We got to take a break. When we come back, let's get to some football news. The latest transfer portal ads. I did it again. Colin Klein has hired an offensive coordinator, plus we'll hear from Chris Klieman in hour number 2. Wildcat Insider continues next.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen. At Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care is right around the corner.
Stormont Vale Health is more than just a hospital. We're an essential part of your community. Our commitment to quality healthcare means investing in the most skilled and talented providers and cutting-edge medical technology. Our investment in your well-being doesn't stop there. We also support various nonprofit programs throughout the communities we serve. Visit StormontVale.org and discover how we can serve you.
Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care, closer to home.
Hi, this is Carrie Hall. My wife Lauren and I are senior citizens like many of you. We've had a Blue Cross and Blue Shield Medicare policy for the last 10 years. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans all across Kansas, with many with zero or very low premium. Call today at 866-692-3077 or online at bcbskansas.com. We pride ourselves on being your hometown carrier. We're Main Street, not Wall Street.
Not available in Wyandotte or Johnson County.
Come on home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
Andrews and Associates Counseling. Life happens. Hope, growth, and healing can too. Serving Manhattan since 1998.
Briggs Auto Group. Proudly serving Northeast Kansas for over 40 years.
Central National Bank. Money for life.
Come home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding a unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications. I'm Cole Duschendorf with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State football has officially finished its coaching staff, adding Sean Gleason as offensive coordinator for the finishing touches. Gleason has been coaching for 19 years, going back to his first coaching job at Del Barton in New Jersey to his most recent coaching stint in Missouri, where he coached quarterbacks for the past 2 seasons. It'll be Gleason's second stint in the Big 12, having spent 1 year at Oklahoma State in 2019 as both the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He was also the OC at Fairleigh Dickinson, Princeton, and Northwestern before taking the job with the Wildcats. K-State football has also added 2 more players out of the portal on Monday, coming from 2 teams that made trips to the CFP this season. First, Georgia safety Adrian Maddox committed to the Wildcats. He played in 4 games for the Bulldogs this year, recording 4 tackles before redshirting, preserving his final season of eligibility. K-State will be his 4th college team, starting at Alabama State before going to UAB and then finally ending up with Georgia last season. Then in the early afternoon, the second commitment of the day rolled in from Jay Harris, a running back from Oregon who spent 2 seasons with the Ducks following his time with Northwest Missouri State. This past season, he played in 11 games, including a touchdown in the CFP semifinal.
All right, hour number 1 of Wildcat Insider continues. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, and Cole Dutchendorf with you until 6 o'clock. Jeff Mitty Show coming up at 6, and then we got some playoff action for you out of the NFL. We will join in progress. I know Cole and myself very upset the Jaguars losing to the Bills, although I'm
ruined
okay with
a perfect weekend of football for me because I was enjoying life. I mean, the Bears-Packers game was fantastic.
Yes, it
the
was.
Rams-Panthers game was fantastic.
It was all right.
And the Jags-Bills game was good until stinking Jags defense folded,
Well,
and not to mention Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
His legacy drive lasted 1 play.
That and the Bills had the longest tush-push play in the history of the tush-push.
Yeah.
Would it go like 30 yards or something like that, and the whole pile just going up the field, and Josh Allen scores a rushing touchdown.
It was my only failed hate watch because the Eagles went down in a flaming ball of poop, and I loved watching them stink it up against the 49ers, and then Sunday Night Football was just a terrible game. But yeah, I was really sad that I spent a whole 10 minutes talking about why they were going to be in the Super Bowl, and they lose in the wild card round.
Well, I'm kind of rooting still. If the Jaguars are out, I'm going to root for the Bills. I'm going to root for the Bears. I think we need 2 toxic fan bases at the same Super Bowl, mingling, being in the same atmosphere as others. And
Bills Eagles would have legitimately burned down Santa Clara. There would not have been a Levi Stadium at the end of that game if it was Bills and Eagles.
Yeah, you might be right.
So it's probably a good thing the Eagles got eliminated.
Tim, K-State has an offensive coordinator.
They do.
I don't know if you heard about this, but this was a couple of days coming here. We found out over the weekend it was going to be Sean Gleason. He will be K-State's offensive coordinator. He comes to the Wildcats after the last 2 years coaching quarterbacks for Missouri. And, after, guys getting banged up last year for Missouri, the year prior to that having a somewhat special season, almost solid quarterback play across the board. Was at Northwestern prior to that as a senior offensive analyst. And then his last 2 stops as an offensive coordinator, Oklahoma State in 2019, which, boy, if you remember that run, 2019, Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Pretty good football player there for Oklahoma State. I think Spencer Sanders was still quarterback.
Yes.
He certainly had his ups and downs, maybe more so COVID year than 2019. Taylor Wallace, great wide receiver, goes to Rutgers and is the OC for 3 years for Rutgers. And their big, tip of the cap there is their improvement since, prior to him showing up, Sean Gleason showing up at Rutgers, was they didn't score a whole lot of points.
No.
He shows up and they're one of the nation's most improved offenses in America, and they did it actually multiple years at Rutgers. So K-State has their offensive coordinator. I saw earlier as well, when he was at Princeton, which was his first opportunity to call plays. He was there for 2 years to call plays, but he was there for 5-6 seasons because he also coached running backs. He coached special teams. He did a whole bunch of stuff for Princeton. That his offense, the way he ran things, was actually used, game film was used in teaching videos on how to teach coaches how to operate with, zone reads, perimeter screens, RPOs, things like that. Apparently operates on a pretty successful, clean operation. So, yeah, I like this pickup a lot, just based on the improvement numbers, based on, operations, scoring the football. There's discipline, I think, that comes with his offense. There's a lot of good things to be happy about, but, I'm very much I can't wait to see it on the field, to see what it looks like in purple.
Yeah, I think that his history with kind of the running backs that he's kind of been connected to, whether you're talking about Chuba Hubbard, you're talking about Isaiah Pacheco, you're talking about Kyle Monungai. Those are all names that I, like hearing for sure.
Cole, this is Isaiah Pacheco before the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco before he broke his leg.
Yes.
In all fairness.
So, that part is good. It is, look, it's not a very, sexy, it's not Jordan Peterson in terms of, a guy that you're over the moon excited about. But I think that it's also, probably harder for an offensive head coach like Colin Klein, who's going to be, the offense is going to be in his image, what he wants to do. Whether or not he will for sure be calling the plays, we don't know that for sure yet, but we kind of assume that that's what's going to be happening. It's harder to find kind of a young up-and-comer to want to kind of be the offensive coordinator because they want to have their own offense. That way they can ride that up the chain and be a head coach themselves. But, I think that it's another fairly young guy. And a guy that probably will get out on the recruiting trail, guy with semi-local ties. I think it's not, it's not super sexy, but interesting.
Going off of what you just said, it's kind of like with Andy Reid and the Chiefs, where it's like Matt Nagy would probably be leaving because he wants to call his own plays, whether he gets a head coaching job or an OC job. Cliff Kingsbury probably won't be coming to the Chiefs because he wants to call his own plays. Same could be said for Mike McDaniel. Same thing for Colin Klein, where he's a young, highly respected play caller. He's shown that he can do it at an extremely high level at multiple stops. And he already said that he's not against calling plays for K-State. So I don't know how high maybe the ceiling was for a knock it out of the park hire, and that's not even a shot taking at Gleason, but just you're not going to get maybe the, like you said, the sexiest hire, quote unquote, but I think still a solid hire in that he's seen a lot of different levels of football and he's been an offensive coordinator at several of them.
So then now let's get to the transfer portal. We have never seen a transfer portal like this for K-State ever. The portal hasn't been around for super long or anything, but we've never seen numbers like this. And with a coaching change, you expect it. The portal is open now. It's actually getting ready to close.
Yeah.
Close today. Okay. I get my dates mixed up. So it closes today. So when it comes to names jumping into the portal, I think we're done. I think we've seen it all, obviously. And now K-State looking to add probably another, I don't know, I'm kind of guesstimating here, 10 guys?
They're up to, unless there are some names that we haven't heard about that are entering the portal, and that's very true. According to my account, we're up to 102.
Okay, so, oh, wow, so we don't, not as many as I thought then.
Yeah, they've backfilled quite a bit over the last couple days.
Okay, well then I clearly lost count. So 105.
Yeah.
So we're getting close here, but with that being said, let's take a look at some of the names that have been added here recently. We had 4 get picked up on Friday. 3 of them are potential starters. One of my favorite defensive guys, I think no doubt that K-State has picked up, is Jason Prevard from Virginia. Starting for the Cavaliers, all ACC honorable mention. They made it to an ACC championship game. Very effective against the run and against the pass, but against the pass, obviously the numbers were pretty good this past season. 3 interceptions, broke up 5 passes. He does have some size to him, and 24 tackles on the year. Him along with the addition that was actually brought in today in Adrian Maddox, not a ton of film on him at Georgia, obviously didn't play a whole lot, but in previous stops, a very hard-hitting safety. I think Jason Prevard could be up there as well. And I also think Jason could be, based on his history, he could be a Quay Moss type of addition. I don't know if that's the plan, playing maybe more nickel. I don't know if that's the plan for Prevard, but I can envision that. I could see that being the case, just the way he can play both in the run and certainly against the pass if he was to because I think he can go downhill and he can hit some people. But also his abilities against the pass could put him at different positions as well. So I think there's options with Prevard, and I do like this pickup a lot. He's got a lot of experience and at a high level too.
Yeah, I mean, I love the experience. That defensive back room. They lost so much with the portal and graduation that needed to kind of be backfilled. And so this is they got some younger guys in there, some guys with some high upside, but getting kind of a proven commodity with experience was super necessary, and I think they hit it out of the park.
Couple of more offensive linemen. K-State's done a great job there as well, picking up some offensive linemen with certainly potential, and on top of that, I mean, experience of starting. And you got Delvin Morris from Akron. Colorado State's Tanner Morley has been at it as well. Morley's a huge guy, 6'7", 325, out of Fort Collins, Colorado State. 1 sack in his career. He's going to have a lot of eligibility remaining because of an injury, because of a red shirt. 1 season playing a full year, and then Delvin Morris, who is coming off a 600 snap career and only giving up, and those are in pass blocking, just giving up 2 sacks, plus 2 guys that have pretty solid ratings according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, again, then another spot where they are losing a lot of guys that they need some guys with experience. They got some younger guys in earlier in the portal period that could end up being something. I think they have some guys on the roster that may be ready to step up. But yeah, you got to get the lines right. That's one thing that did not happen last year, and K-State paid for it.
We need to look at this because picking K-State today, signing with K-State, Jay Harris, a running back from Oregon, 6'2", 224 pounds.
Yeah.
So if we need a linebacker, I think we have our last case scenario to play linebacker. He's coming off a year at Oregon where he had 42 carries, $151 and 2 touchdowns, just 3.5 yards per carry. I've seen a lot of people online talking about his work against IU in the playoffs there in that Peach Bowl where, I mean, once the Peach Bowl was over, he was pretty much in the portal. And K-State gets him in 2 days, and he's on his way to K-State. He was okay, I would say. He was much more efficient in the passing game, or in the receiving game, rather. 3 catches, 32 yards. None of his numbers are really eye-popping, but he didn't get a whole lot of opportunities either. A lot of mop-up duty. I looked at the depth chart for Oregon. He was not in the top 4 of the depth chart.
Like
so
5,
he was really buried down the line. This could be, somebody that maybe doesn't see a whole lot of playing time for K-State. I have no idea. I don't even know really how to speak on his potential, but he's a St. Louis guy.
Yeah.
Corey Patterson, he's a St. Louis guy. He's already picked up a number of guys out of the St. Louis area, so I get that addition there. But the way now K-State is adding up with transfers, I mean, at running back, you add in Rodney Fields, Jay Harris is there, another big back, and of course Joe Jack.
Yeah.
So it's actually adding up to be really interesting at running back.
You're going to have options, which I think is great. One thing about Jay Harris that I liked when I was looking into it was what he did before Oregon. He was at Northwest Missouri State and was an absolute stud in the MIAA. Including his sophomore season where he was the only player in all divisions of the NCAA to rush for at least 100 yards in every game that season.
And we mentioned Adrian Maddox from Georgia, so K-State picks up another player out of the SEC, and I believe now that is 5 players out of the SEC. But just to kind of paint a picture now on how this is adding up with the defensive backs, K-State's added a former starting corner in Caleb Patterson at Illinois, former starter at Virginia, Jason Prevard, Barrett on the depth chart didn't play a ton, but Georgia defensive back Adrian Maddox, and then maybe one of my favorite players as well, just in the whole class for K-State, is Coy Beasley with his potential from Miami, Ohio. So bringing up those 4 names there, Tim, what are you gathering about these 4 and what you like about this group?
Yeah, I think that like you, Coy Beasley immediately kind of popped to me as a guy who's on the younger side, but has already, well, first of all, was like a 4-star level talent coming out of high school when he went to Purdue, I believe, and then has really killed it at Miami of Ohio. And it seems like a guy who you're just is just barely reaching that potential, and you're going to get him kind of right in his prime. That's big. I mean, you add in the fact that you're returning guys like Wesley Fair, Zayshawn Rich, possibly Donovan McIntosh. You're going to have should be a pretty salty defensive backfield for the defense of 2026, which, not to do this again, but like that was another issue for K-State last year. So it's a good step in the right direction there.
And just to give you a heads up on just who right now on K-State's radar I'm not going to mention names, but just position groups to continue to watch for, potential ads here. Offensive line, I think, is, another need for maybe one more guy. Defensive line, potentially looking for a heavy hitter there. Defensive back, I wouldn't be surprised if they add another player. Those are just kind of off the top of the dome. I know they're trying to get another Oklahoma State player in. That's Kendall Gregory, who is a defensive lineman. He was actually, I believe he was just here. I think he was here this weekend. So stay tuned for that. I mean, like Tim said, there's still some spots to be filled, so K-State's not done. But boy, did they do a lot of work. 21 guys in 7 days.
Yeah.
3 a day. That's a pretty interesting average. That's a high average.
That's pretty good. Now, I'm correct in the fact that there is no longer, they got rid of the spring transfer window. So this is it. So there's not really a point in kind of hanging around and having some spots open. If you get the guys that you like and they want to come, you're going to take them. And so, yeah, if K-State can kind of fill out things in the next week or so, they're going to be sitting pretty heading into the spring semester.
By the way, we've been getting a lot of questions recently about where Dylan Edwards is going. I again, no idea. Haven't heard a peep about his life in the portal.
Weirdly quiet. Weirdly quiet.
I mean, for being one of the, best athletes in the transfer portal available, I'm very surprised something hasn't been leaked by his, agent. I mean, it's the agents that are giving all this info to those in the media, On3, all those guys who cover, Rivals 24/7, all those guys that cover the transfer portal. It's the agents that are leaking all this information. Haven't heard a single word about Dylan Edwards. I have no idea what he's up to.
Probably tell you kind of the way that he's being perceived, because when he went into the portal 2 springs ago, 3 springs ago, 2 springs,
2.
It made a pretty big splash, and obviously K-State was on him immediately, and it was over real quick. It's a much more drawn out process for him right now, and these coaches, especially now that Chris Klieman is technically unaffiliated, I'm sure that there are coaches that are reaching out to him and maybe Brian Anderson and trying to get a read on some things, and I'm sure that if they're telling him the truth, they're painting a not so pretty picture for Dylan Edwards going, and as far as bringing him into your locker room. It did not end well.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back, last week in the Big 12, K-State is one of 4 teams right now winless in Big 12 play. There's another one that's very close to being in the same record-wise as K-State, the cross-state, hour and 20 minutes away rival that went on the road, and they also blew a big lead on the road in Big 12 play, but against a better team. Last week in the Big 12, coming up next here on KMAN.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. When the moment demanded answers, Brock Purdy delivered, and it's a potential narrative changer. 2 brutal interceptions early. No George Kittle, no Ricky Pearsall, no Brandon Ayuk. Half the defense banged up. Every excuse was on the table, but Purdy was pure ice in his veins. That's the part that keeps getting missed. Many still label him a game manager, as if that's an insult. Managing chaos, injuries, momentum swings, and expectations. That's the hardest job on the field. The $265 million contract wasn't paid for box score bravado. It was paid for moments exactly like yesterday. For trust, for composure, for winning when the deck is stacked against you. Game managers don't overcome that right away. Game breakers do. And Brock Purdy just reminded everybody in the NFL which one he is. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
NHL star Matt Martin for American Humane.
I've had my fair share of bruises and injuries, but for many who put their lives on the line every day, it's not always the injuries you can see that hurt the most. Every single day, 184 veterans are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. When medications and therapy don't help, professionally trained service dogs can. American Humane has created a free guide to help veterans obtain these life-saving animals. For help, please go to AmericanHumane.org.
The Wildcats.
3 wide open again, and it's perfect again.
Hit the court.
To the rim, layup good.
Right here.
Yeah. How about these Cats?
Be here every game as the Wildcats pounce the hardwood all season long.
3 seconds, 2, 1, buzzer, ball game. K-State wins it.
On your home for Kansas State Wildcat basketball, the K-State Sports Network from Learfield.
News Radio KMAN. News Radio KMAN. Weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 57 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Wind out of the southwest at around 10 miles per hour. Tonight mostly clear in a low around 33 as we head into tomorrow. Another warm day on hand, mostly sunny and a high near 63. Also windy, winds gusting as high as 25 out of the west. 20% chance of rain before midnight on Tuesday evening with a low around 35. Sunny and a high near 42 on Wednesday.
All right, we're back on Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, Cole Dutchendorf for a few more moments here in hour number 1. Real quick, last week in the Big 12, very interesting story. I don't know the whole story about what's going on. Iowa State women's basketball was a top 10 team. I mean, they were rolling everybody. Audie Crooks is the nation's leading scorer. I mean, she has been unstoppable. And now Iowa State has lost 3 in a row. They opened Big 12 play with wins over KU by 3. They smashed Houston, lost to Baylor, who's a top 25 team. That's respectable. But remember, I mean, K-State women, they just crushed Cincinnati. Cincinnati beat Iowa State 71-63. And then West Virginia, who K-State almost beat in Bramlage. That's a very good defensive team. K-State forced them into 23 turnovers. West Virginia won by 13.
Teams figured out all you have to do is draw Audie Crooks into playing defense, basically, and you're going to have a lot of success on the offensive end of the floor.
I always thought she was decent.
She just doesn't. She can't move. Is the biggest
well,
problem.
that's true. Yes, that is true. I mean, offensively, she is still just an absolute juggernaut. Again, like I mentioned, she's the nation's leading scorer. I'm trying to pull up her numbers here real quick. 28.3 points per game. So I don't know.
I think they're missing one of their main guards.
Looks like Addie Brown hasn't played in a couple of games. Yeah. You could be right about that. But I just thought, man, that's really interesting to see them struggling right now. Speaking of having some, KU, without that flurry at home against TCU to send the game to overtime after they're down 9 points, less than a minute to go, KU should honestly probably be 0-3 to start Big 12 play, but they got that win over TCU. But then they blew a 16-point lead in Morgantown. They lose to West Virginia 86-75. Their other loss was by 6 to UCF. Now, Darren Peterson did play quite a bit. I don't know if he was on the minutes restriction that he had been prior. He finished with 23 points. Didn't have his most efficient day shooting, but he played 31 minutes.
Yeah.
So, Flory Badunga only playing in 29. He only had 8 points.
Unranked, the Kansas Jayhawks. Just the same. Two teams in Kansas, exactly the same.
I would rather be KU right now, though.
Yeah, no, I know.
They played a non-conference that could get them to the NCAA tournament. All right, we'll take a break. That game is that's a week from Saturday. Coming up next, Wyatt Thompson plus Chris Klieman speaking on retirement and why he stepped away, next on Wildcat Insider.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
What's up, everybody? Nick Cosmo's here to help you hooks with Westwood One Sports. Pro football playoff weekend wraps up tonight. Houston, a 3-point road favorite in Pittsburgh. Total of the game is 38. And I really like Pittsburgh plus the points here. Has to be 3. Pittsburgh plus 3. I don't trust Houston's offense. Pittsburgh star wide receiver going to be back in this one. Give me Pittsburgh. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today.
You know the rush when you reach that goal, when something you've worked for pays off. That's success. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we believe you should never stop chasing it. That's why we offer a skills-based education that helps move your career forward. Learn how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science. Build your leadership and critical thinking skills. Apply by February 11th and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
When severe weather rolls in, every second counts, and we're here to keep you ahead of the storm. Count on us for the latest alerts, live updates, and real-time tracking to help protect you, your family, and your property. From heavy rain and damaging winds to hail and dangerous storms, we'll guide you through the changing conditions and keep you informed when it matters most. Powered by Candlewood Veterinary Clinic, Manhattan Wrecker, Hummel Tree Service, Tallgrass Windows, and Ozone Roofing.
KS State Bank offers convenient services to help make life a little easier. Visit ksstate.bank to learn more. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN. News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 55 degrees with partly cloudy skies. That wind from earlier today has died down just to around 3 miles per hour out of the west. Tonight, mostly clear and a low around 33. The wind picking back up tomorrow, gusting as high as 25 out of the west, blowing pretty steadily from 5 to 10 with a high near 63. 20% chance of rain before midnight on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, mostly sunny in a high near 42, mostly sunny in a high near 46 on Thursday. Hour 2 of Wildcat Insider now on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452. And we are back. It is hour number 2 of Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, and Cole Dutchendorf. 6 o'clock, we will have the Jeff Mitty Show. His team going 1-1 last week. They're actually, I think they technically played 3 games last week.
Yes.
I don't know. Who's that? It was West Virginia. Yeah. So they technically last week went 1-2. But Jeff Mitty Show coming up at 6. 7 o'clock, we'll join in progress with some playoff football wild card round. Texans and Steelers. DJ Metcalf returning from a 2-game suspension tonight. There's a big old storyline for you.
Nice.
Tomorrow here on K-Man, I'm going to be out of studio, and Tim going to come in for a while, and then I hopefully will be able to take over for hour number 2, along with Cole, who's going to be hosting from the captain's chair across the glass. But I will also have the call of round number 1 of what I compare to. It's the Kansas rivalry known as Duke versus North Carolina. It's Manhattan, Junction City, round 1 at Junction City High School. The girls' first approximate tip time at 6 o'clock, pregame at 5:45, and then the boys will follow. I gave Tim this trivia question. I may be the only person in America that actually knows this number, and if I'm not the only one, there's probably no more than 5 people that know this. But the Manhattan girls basketball team has a long winning streak over the Junction City girls. I'm wondering if Cole remembers this. Cole, do you know where the streak currently stands on the wins for Manhattan girls over Junction City? How many in a row they have?
I feel like it's at least a decade straight of wins. So I would say like 20.
Okay. Tim said.
I said 18, but I feel like I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna say 26.
Okay. You are both still too low.
39.
Oh my.
No, 34.
Wow.
Manhattan girls have 34 consecutive wins against Junction City.
Years. That's crazy.
I know Junction. I think they've won a couple of games. I know they beat like Atchison right out of the gate. But
I still think they're the greatest team in the world this season. It's a rebuilding year for them for sure.
Manhattan. I mean, gosh, both teams are. I mean, right now. The boys are, on a 7-game winning streak?
They're cooking.
Yeah.
Right now, and the girls are, they got 6 wins on the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk to Benji George after we wrap up the show here at 6 o'clock to get ready for tomorrow night's broadcast. But also a reminder as well, Wednesday, Power K Game Day starts 5 in the afternoon, or in the evening, whatever you want to call it, and tip-off at 7 against the UCF Knights. Let's talk a little men's basketball, talk a little K-State sports as we are every Monday at 5:10, joined by the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. Wyatt, how was the trip to Arizona minus the 2 losses?
Well, it wasn't the weather we were hoping for. I guess I would say that. It was a little bit coolish there for them and for this time of year. We had one day where it was a little bit windy with that cooler weather, and we kind of giggled at some of the natives there because they were freezing, man. It was really quite funny. But I will tell you this. When we made the trek from Tucson to Tempe, we went right to a little place to eat that Casey had picked out. And the last few miles of the jaunt, it actually hailed on us. And then it hailed on us again after we ate our middle of the afternoon lunch. Can you believe that?
I've been down there many times. I don't remember one time ever it hailing or even any rain. I've been there when it's cold.
Yeah, it was remarkable. And then we had Jackie Hartman Bork. Her and her husband Lee were with us. Jackie's dad, of course, the late great Jack Hartman, and we were standing on the tarmac waiting to get loaded up on the plane. And the comment was made, "Well, it's finally starting to clear off and be nice as we're getting ready to head out of there." So it was what it was, though. It was, it was a long week, frustrating one from the games standpoint, but for the rest of it, it's like all of them. You just kind of grind through it, and we had some good meals and some fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing you didn't go out to Glendale for the college football playoff game?
We had two young guys in our crew that went. I won't tell you how much they paid for tickets or Ubers or anything like that, but Cam and Will, who are our camera guys and, actually photog guy and videographer, they went and had a good time. They loved it. I think Stan really wanted to go, but wasn't sure what he'd have to pay, and decided, I've got a pretty good seat here in front of the television. So, but those two guys went. I don't think anybody else did, though.
Yeah, it'd be nice to, first playoff game the Cats happen to be playing in your work, and instead of just being there as a fan, I'm sure you don't go to very many games ever anywhere if you're not getting paid. Isn't that right? I mean, unless it's a K-State game, because you don't ever talk about going to the Chiefs or the Royals.
Well, I've done a lot of baseball where I've paid for tickets. Not so much in some of the other sports. I've probably been in the last 3 or 4 years to maybe three Chiefs games.
Okay.
Didn't really cost me much at all. So, yeah, I'm pretty spoiled, and I fully admit it.
Well, of course, you were there for 2 games. K-State comes away with 2 losses. Number 1, Arizona, fight there to, get within double or single digits, and Arizona pulls away there in the second half. And then Arizona State, they have that long run there with about 11 minutes to go, and K-State's not able to fully recover. I guess, what were your big takeaways from those 2 games about K-State's biggest struggles, and why are they 0-3 to start Big 12 play?
Well, it's pretty simple, really, from my perspective. And I did hear you say at the start of the first hour something about 3 things that K-State was not doing very, very well. I'm going to guess rebounding was one of them. Mm-hmm. Defense was one of them. Am I right there?
Yeah, numbers that, attribute to defense. They're fouling. They can't play defense without fouling was one of them.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly the one I would say would be next, because Tom Gilbert told me today he looked, we're 340th in the nation in terms of fouling. Way too much. Now, up and above and beyond those things, I do have to tell you how impressed I was with Arizona. I really like the makeup of their team. I really am impressed with the fact that, 2 of those guys that were starting a year ago, Tobe Awaka and Del Orso, are now relenting a starting spot, coming off the bench to make room for Burries and Koa Pete. And boy, are those guys good. I don't know if you've got to see the game, Mitch, but wow, they are really, really good. We knew Koa Pete was outstanding. Burries is going to be really good too. He's just so bouncy and such a quality player. And they've just got, exceptional length and what have you. I don't know that they're a great defensive team necessarily, but offensively they're pretty high caliber. And then the game with Arizona State, kind of the same old in this conference start where, K-State gave up 50 points in the paint. Arizona State had 18 offensive rebounds. They blocked 10 shots. K-State gave up, 51 points in the second half. So it was frustrating, no doubt.
Well, yeah, I pulled up a bunch of numbers, and it's just K-State versus opponents' first 3 games of the Big 12, and they're very lopsided. I pulled up 7 stats, and they're all pretty lopsided. They're pretty ugly. I can send them to you in an email, and you can save some time on some research here for this UCF game. And you sit right next to the teams most places. I was kind of wondering, what's the energy been like around the bench? Has Jerome Tang changed? Is there still plenty of energy coming from the bench from the guys that are not in? If somebody hits the three, has that lacked in any way?
Well, it's a pretty legitimate question, actually. I guess from what I have observed, I would tell you that I don't know that the guys, you have anybody, pouting or sulking or whatever you want to say. But I'll be honest with you, I think they're kind of beat down a little bit right now, and some of them are struggling a little bit with confidence. I mean, we saw David Castillo have a stretch where he was just terrific, right? I mean, anybody would agree with that. Well, now you look up 3 games into conference play, and he's 9 of 30 and 2 of 13, I believe it is, as an example, from 3. That's nowhere in the hemisphere of what he was before. And as a team, too, I mean, PJ's shooting 42% from the floor in conference games. But this one even surprised me, even though I knew they were 3 of 21 from 3 against BYU and whatever it was, 8 of 36 at Arizona. They're shooting 27% from 3 in 3 conference games. So they're off from what they've been. But why? Well, the competition's pretty good, too. I guess I'd have to throw that out there because even though Arizona State's not as good as the other 2, and I think that's a pretty obvious statement, they still, as I mentioned, had 10 blocks. They altered a lot of shots, too. It's not always just about, the blocks, but they altered some shots, and it was a tough go. Now you got to come back and try to beat a 13-2 UCF team, and they're actually they had won 11 in a row before they lost in Stillwater, and then turned around and beat Cincinnati in a 1-point game yesterday. So it's the Big 12.
Yeah, you're the first I'm going to talk to about the Knights, who were number 25 in the nation. It's been the first time since the Florida Purchase that they had been ranked. At least it feels like it this way. Certainly the first time since they joined the Big 12. Why do you mentioned the winning streak, that's one, but I mean, talent-wise, number-wise, why is this team, why were they in the top 25?
Well, winning a lot of games, that's the obvious statement, right? But I really like their team too. Meaning, I think they have a lot of depth and a lot of pieces. They have transfers from all over the place. But you might remember some of these guys. Maybe you won't remember any of them. A few years ago, K-State saw Riley. This will be the 3rd team that Riley Kugel has played for that will have played K-State. Do you remember when he was young and played at Florida as an example?
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Excuse me. And then he went from Florida to Mississippi State and now to UCF, and he's a really good player. He had 19 points yesterday in that game against Cincinnati. I like their point guard, Demas Folks, a transfer from Milwaukee. They actually have 2 guys in their starting lineup that played at Milwaukee, but both of those guys are doing well. And as a matter of fact, Michael Stillwell, I don't even know if you really have any familiarity with his name, and I'll be honest and tell you, until I started really studying them, wasn't sure that much about him at all, but this is a 12.3 point, 8 rebound guy, and just a few days ago, he was averaging 13 and 10. They've got a 7'2" guy in the center position and a 6'11" transfer from Mississippi State as their backup. I mean, they've. I'm not trying to make them out to be the Celtics. I don't mean it that way. And here's the reality too. Okay, excuse me. They're 13-2, but of those 15 games, 11 of those have been at home. So they've had that going for them too.
We talked about this a little bit last week. Just can't help but notice that KU has had a little bit of a bumpy start to Big 12 play. They really pulled one out of their backside to get to overtime against TCU, or else they're 0-3 to start Big 12 play. They got Iowa State, Baylor, and Colorado before the K-State game. Who do you think is going to have a better Big 12 record when we get to the Sunflower Showdown Part 1 on January 24th? Because, both of these teams are trying to, kind of figure out how to win basketball games right now.
Well, they are. One of those home games for UCF victories was against Kansas, as you know. I think it's an interesting question because that would have been a pretty easy question to probably answer in most years, but I think you can safely say that KU has struggled a little bit. I think their fans are, this is just my personal opinion, I'm no expert on KU basketball, but I think their fans are a little perplexed by, Darren Peterson and with when he plays and when he sits and those types of things. It is a little bit hard to watch and figure. I don't know if you've watched them a lot or some, but they're not playing really great basketball by any stretch right now. And, even Bill Self has talked about, that I used to be able to go to my bench and bring pros in, and that's not necessarily the case now. So it's dipped a little bit for them, and I think, some of it too is I don't know if you've looked at their conference schedule, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they're the only team in the league that plays Arizona twice and Houston twice. So it's not going to be an easy road for them, buddy, in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think when I looked at when the conference releases schedules, I think I may have picked KU as having the hardest schedule when it comes to who they play both home and on the road. Well, I'll tell you, after they play K-State, they have BYU, Texas Tech, Arizona, and Iowa State for the next 5. The one in the middle of that is Utah, which should be a freebie for them.
Yeah, but the way Utah, and I know it was a rivalry game, but if you paid much attention to BYU at Utah the other night, they gave BYU a pretty good run there.
That's true. We talked about that off the air. They were better than I thought they would be.
Yeah, they are. They're more athletic. Are they BYU? No. Are they Houston? No. Those types of things. But these coaches just repeat and repeat and repeat that there's not an easy game, and I don't know that there will be many. You could argue, 3 or 4 teams and probably be correct, and Utah would probably be one of those 3 or 4. But I think with Alex Jensen in time, they'll get better. I do.
All right, Wyatt, we'll let you go. We'll see you in Bramlage on Wednesday. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Thanks, buddy.
Voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson. K-State is hosting KU Saturday, January 24th at 7 o'clock. It'll be televised on Fox. And then, once upon a time, I did think that K-State could be the year they win in Allen Fieldhouse. Well, it just so happens that game is also on KU senior night, and they haven't lost to senior night, since before I was born. It's a 1 o'clock game on CBS Saturday, March 7th. We take a break, and when we come back, we kind of teased this on Friday that the Manhattan Mercury was releasing an exclusive article speaking with former K-State football coach Chris Klieman about his exit, his retirement, stepping away from K-State football, Klein becoming the guy. We got some sound bites to play for you next. And if you haven't checked out that article yet, go to the Manhattan Mercury, go to themercury.com, read that article. It's a great look at both, how Coach is doing right now, his thoughts on the current landscape of college football, why he's leaving college football for now. We're going to hear some sound bites when we come back here on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
The Wildcats are gearing up for Big 12 battles you won't want to miss. Catch both men's and women's basketball all season long as they take on the best of the Big 12 right here at home. Don't miss a minute of the action. Get your conference play tickets now at kstatesports.com/tickets. The Wildcats are gearing up for Big 12 battles you won't want to miss. Catch both men's and women's basketball all season long as they take on the best of the Big 12 right here at home. Don't miss a minute of the action. Get your conference play tickets now at kstatesports.com/tickets.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
WTC Fiber Internet is on its way to all of Manhattan. Sign your home or business up today at WTCKS.com. No contracts, no data caps, or overage fees. Fast, local, reliable. WTC Fiber Internet. Sign up today at WTCKS.com.
It's time for spring cleanup. Find what you need in the brand you love at Midwest Ace Hardware. Make yard cleanup easy with Ego or Stihl trimmers and blowers. Fertilize and seed your lawn with Scotts. And enjoy cookouts all summer long with Traeger, Blackstone, Weber, or Big Green Egg. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks.
For a once-in-a-lifetime experience, engagement ring shopping simply can't be duplicated on a computer screen. At Fifely Jewelers, you'll be pleasantly surprised by our pricing compared to buying online, and we offer financing. Plus, you'll have peace of mind by shopping locally with Fifely Jewelers.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please contact Manhattan Broadcasting Company at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email front desk at 1350kman.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about? What am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's giving me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you've missed the Kim Commando Show, you've missed a lot.
Yeah, they forced Claude to unlearn all the information it got from the pirated technology.
And it's a $1.5 billion landmark settlement. A reader from the current newsletter sent me a note. He put his name in. He made $6,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not bad for getting a free newsletter.
America's digital goddess.
Kim Commando. Kim Commando. Saturday mornings at 9 on News Radio KMAN.
I'm Cole Betchendorf with the Wildcat Insider Sports Update, brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State football has officially finished its coaching staff, adding Sean Gleason as offensive coordinator for the finishing touches. Gleason has been coaching for 19 years, going back to his first coaching job at Del Barton School in New Jersey, to his most recent coaching stint in Missouri, where he coached quarterbacks for the past 2 seasons. It'll be Gleason's second stint in the Big 12, having spent 1 year at Oklahoma State in 2019 as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He's also been an offensive coordinator at Fairleigh Dickinson, Princeton, and Northwestern before taking the job with the Wildcats. K-State football has added 2 more players out of the portal on Monday, coming from 2 teams that made trips to the college football playoff this season. First, it was Georgia safety Adrian Maddox who committed to the Wildcats. He played in 4 games for the Bulldogs this season, recording 4 tackles before redshirting, preserving his final season of eligibility. K-State will be his 4th college team, starting at Alabama State before going to UAB and then finally ending up with Georgia last season. Then in the early afternoon, the second commitment of the day rolled in from Jay Harris, a running back from Oregon. Harris spent 2 seasons with the Ducks following his time with Northwest Missouri State. In 2023, as a sophomore, he totaled 1,433 yards and 14 touchdowns with the Bearcats.
You see David Lee Roth is going on a big tour?
No.
Around the United States?
Just by himself?
Yeah, I think so. He's just doing a big, long Van Halen set list.
All right.
I don't know if you know, but I mean, the only issue there is he has no vocals left.
Yeah.
It's pretty fried.
Yeah, he's got the Axl Rose problem.
Latest former K-State football players that entered the portal and found new homes. Here is the recent list. I think we got to Ryan Davis and Devin Vass. Davis to Baylor, Vass to West Virginia. Jaden Rowe, former K-State corner, didn't really play a whole lot of it. He's going to Baylor as well. So now the Joe Klieman effect coming in for the Baylor Bears, picking up some defensive guys from K-State going to Baylor. Also notice this, and I think it happened Saturday. Jay Sean Ross, who was kicked off the team on a Wednesday morning at like 5 in the morning for distributing marijuana in southeast Kansas.
Yep.
Got kicked off the team, and now he's trying to go somewhere else. Braden Lofton, tight end, is going to UCLA. Coley McAllister is going to Baylor. Will Kemna, former offensive line recruit, he's a Missouri kid. He's going to Missouri. Amarian Fortenberry, who I'm very happy for, having a player on the K-State team with the first four letters of his last name, F-O-R-T. He's going to USF, going to South Florida. And Daniel Cobbs, how about him also going to Baylor? Some of the previous defensive players that I just mentioned, not going to lie, wasn't the biggest fan. Daniel Cobbs had an underrated year. He was good. He was good. He had a sick interception in Lawrence in the third quarter of that game. That was an acrobatic, that was Cirque du Soleil interception from Daniel Cobbs. He was a good tackler. He got some takeaways. He was an underrated player. I felt like he was one of the most improved players that K-State had, especially with he got a way more playing time as well.
Also saw that Caden Massey, former offensive lineman from Linden, is going to James Madison.
So. Haven't seen that one pop up yet, so congratulations to Caden. So anyway, that's the recent list of guys that have found new homes. Now we got 3 players going from K-State to Baylor following the Clannyman, Joe Klieman, to the Baylor Bears. Let's talk Chris Klieman. Saturday morning, Tim, the Manhattan Mercury releasing a pretty cool article after Ned Seaton, the owner, had a one-on-one interview.
Yeah.
Talking with Coach Klieman as he was on his way down to Florida, where he has a family home. Going to get some time away from the hustle and bustle of Manhattan, Kansas, and going to be hanging down there for a while to kind of recharge the batteries, and at some point he'll return, I'm sure, to Manhattan and do his thing. But he spoke to Ned, and there was an article that was released Saturday. You want to just kind of give the details on, for those who haven't seen it yet, on where they can find that article?
Yeah, definitely. It is in Saturday's paper, which if you aren't subscribed, you should. But if you aren't, you can just come to the Manhattan Broadcasting office on Casement. We have extra copies. Love to get you hooked up with that. It's also online on our website at themercury.com. I believe that everyone gets two free reads before we shut you out of the paywall, and it's definitely worth your time and kind of a good idea of kind of the stuff that we try to do when we get an opportunity. And this was a big opportunity for us to kind of be the first publication of any kind to talk to Klieman since he hung it up, since he did his farewell address. He talked to someone on the sideline of a North Dakota State playoff game, but that was very brief and didn't really go into any depth, and mainly talked about just how excited he was being back in Fargo. But yeah, Ned was able to get him to talk about everything from just the state of college football today to kind of some of the health reasons that went into him stepping away, to kind of what his plans are going forward, and like, what is he truly retiring, or is there going to be maybe a Chris Klieman part 2 down the road if things kind of change in college football. So it's not terribly long, but there's lots packed in there. And if you've been curious at all about kind of how things went down with that tumultuous week at the beginning of December of Chris Klieman retiring and Klein getting the job, it sheds a lot of light on kind of how that process started.
It all happened very quickly in a matter of a couple of days from the first reported by the Manhattan Mercury that Chris Klieman is going to retire. Klein was going to be the guy. 2 days later, it's official-ish. There was a press conference. It was on signing day. 2 days later, Klein is in town. Introductory press conference. Boom, 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 boom. But with Ned, and this is audio from that actual interview. Mm-hmm. This one-on-one interview as Klieman's in the car. He's driving down to Florida. Number of reasons why he decided to retire from the game he loves to coach. Loves to mentor college football players. And it has to do, honestly, with the current state of college football. This was not a surprise to hear that the change with the walk-on numbers, the roster limit, had an impact.
We took 2 walk-ons in 2025, and we have 1 committed in 2026. Every other year I've been there, it's been between 20 and 25 walk-ons. That's not Kansas State. Well, and that's what nobody knows. This house settlement, I had to cut 20-some kids last April, and it was the worst day of my coaching career. These kids wanted to be ag majors, run out of the tunnel, get their degree, be a part of K-State football, and the house settlement took it away.
And then what sucks, because, again, this was springtime, right? I mean, this is spring football time. Mm-hmm. It was a couple of months later, then it comes out and says, oh, well, you don't have to cut them now.
Yeah.
You can just, they're basically allowed their eligibility, they're grandfathered in to where their current school is, and you could be a walk-on until their eligibility runs out, but you can't replace them if they decide to leave. You can't replace them. So, you're going to probably hear me say this a lot. I totally get where Coach is coming from because, yes, it's not K-State. I mean, from Jordy Nelson to Ben Sinnott, the walk-on story of from walk-on to star at K-State has been one of the major reasons why that K-State became a very big success in the 90s and the 2000s. And, yes, now it's drastically different. And it happened very, not suddenly, but you kind of knew it was coming for a while with the House versus NCAA settlement.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the press conference immediately following that. And, man, he just looked gutted. I mean, you could tell that it was just an awful experience. Those kids, they trust the coaching staff to have to kind of, kick them to the curb. It sucked. It sucked. And I think that, and he said it was kind of the inciting incident that kind of led to where, things ended up.
Another one of the many layers of the changes of college football that Klieman had just had enough with is the agents being involved in making these deals for these athletes, and it's happening every year.
I was kind of at my wit's end as far as, once again, I don't blame any of these kids. It's not their fault. But you get done playing Colorado, and come Monday, man, there's 20 kids that want to know a number or they're ready to go into the portal. I'm like, gosh. That's all I'm going to do the whole month of December and January is work with 80 of our kids to see if we can keep them. And if not, go work with 580 kids to fill the 30 spots we're going to need. And that's all December and January. That's not recruiting. That's just finding ways to make deals.
Yeah, what these agents want to know is as quickly as they possibly can what number they're going to get from you so they know how much money they're going to make and their client's going to make. And if it's not enough, we're going to shop you out. We're going to find other numbers elsewhere from these other GMs and what we can offer, and then maybe we'll just take what the best offer is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the agent structure is very different than how it is in the NFL. In the NFL, you actually have to get certification. You got to go through some kind of training to show that anybody. I can be an agent for these kids. So it's just, a lot of the times it ends up just being greed and just kind of grab. And K-State wanted to keep a lot of these kids, but at the end of the day, it just is, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and he said later on, right after that last clip there about making these deals with these agents just isn't him.
That's not me. That's the way college football is, and I'm okay with that. But I don't have to be a part of it if that's the way it's going down, and that's why, rather than me just sitting there and milking it for 7 more years on my contract, I was like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, he's just not going to sit there, phone it in as much as he hates the way college football is now. Just not going to sit there, cash checks, and just settle for 6-win, 7-win seasons and call it a day. And certainly, stated in the article as well about the money aspect of this. Chris Klieman has talked about this before, where he's not in this for the money. And I've always liked that about him. I mean, I'm not in this business for the money. We obviously make a lot less money than Chris Klieman was making, but he left a lot of money on the table. I mean, if you think about if he would have kept winning and get the extensions and the bonuses and all that, I mean, probably let go in the neighborhood of $30 million of his current contract. But for a lot of his career, he was making $75,000, until he basically became the head coach of North Dakota State, and that changed everything. He just felt like he has made a ton of money. He and his family are set for life. Money wasn't a factor here for Chris Klieman, and he would then go into. I mean, if he were to just stick with this and deal with the changes and never know when things are going to have, when there's going to be barricades about what you can do and cannot do, hard concrete rules set in place instead of the wild, wild west, what would happen to him if he continued coaching?
I've been doing this for 35 years. If you'd have seen me the last 2 years of this thing, I'd die if I kept doing this job. I'd die if I kept doing this job. I was going to have a heart attack or I was going to have a stroke. I know myself. My family knows me well. My blood pressure was through the roof.
So I think it was, I don't know where it was stated, but it was like his health was brought up in announcements or in articles about him stepping aside from K-State. That's why.
Yeah.
It's because his blood pressure was high. He was very stressed out. He was angry. He had lived some of the worst days of his coaching life in the last couple of years. So for his sake, for his well-being and also his family's well-being, he had to step away from what he loved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, credit 100% to him. And we'll say this a lot through this whole thing. There are a lot of coaches who will get sucked into the ambition and just the need to win and the need to compete. And it takes a lot for these guys to be able to kind of step aside and kind of put their well-being first, maybe put their family first. And so it's you don't see that from a lot of guys. So, a lot of guys will be like, okay, well, we're gonna be an assistant here, and then we're gonna get a power four or a group of five job, and then they'll parlay that into a smaller, a little bigger power five job. We'll parlay that into a power five job, and then my family's been in 4 different cities in the last 4 years. But I think that Chris Klieman, he knew that it just wasn't sustainable the way that he was having to live his life and the strain that he was putting on himself, not because of the wins or the losses, but just what it took to be able to compete now. It was just not something that he was willing or able to keep doing.
And then there's a storyline of deciding on, am I going to keep doing this or not? There was conversations with Gene Taylor, and according to Klieman, those started on Monday. And that Monday before signing day, Colin Klein becoming the head coach, and he also called Klein that Monday to have the discussion about becoming the next head football coach at K-State.
Colin was, in my mind, ready to take that next step, and I just thought, wait a minute, if I'm getting out, and I don't want him to take a job and then I get out, that wouldn't be very good. So we had a good conversation. I'm going to keep that conversation between Colin and I, but we had a good conversation.
So, my understanding about all this is, and Klieman does have social media, but I don't really consider him on social media. He never tweets or anything. I mean, he's not really on that stuff, so I'm sure he's not seeing him firsthand of what, with K-State struggles on who the heat is on and fire this person or get rid of that guy or whatever. He's not seeing that. He may hear about it, but he's not seeing it. And he's not seeing, bring in Colin Klein. It was really the second thought of this whole process. Majority of it is, I got to do what's best for me. What college football is now is not for me. And then, as from what I understand from that clip, look, there's a young man at 36 years old that is one of the best offensive coordinators in America. He is a quickly rising coach in college football. By the way, this is his alma mater. I gave him his first shot at being an offensive coordinator. Let me give him a call and see if he's ready to go, because I think he is ready to go. This would be the perfect thing to happen for K-State. And I think he later on mentioned that Klieman mentioned that it wouldn't be good if he got hired somewhere else and then I decided to step away. So timing, he wanted to make sure the timing was there as well. So Colin didn't sign anywhere else. He didn't go to USF. He was making sure he was coming to K-State, but they had their conversation first, and look how it all worked out.
Yeah, I mean, he truly wanted to be a good steward of the program. And he knew that this decision was going to put his boss, Gene Taylor, in a tough spot in a normal situation. And it just so happened that kind of the perfect candidate to take over a guy that could, there's been some upheaval and whatnot, but compared to places like Iowa State and Oklahoma State and what they've gone through in coaching transitions, it's been much calmer in Manhattan. And he knew that he was ready. He knew that it would reinvigorate the fan base, which it has. And he wasn't too proud to, admit that fact. Things had gotten, kind of beyond stale, not to the point of super hostile or anything, but it had gotten, there was some unrest among some of the fan base.
Very disappointing
disappointment
year, for sure.
And so it could have been a lesser coach and a lesser person could have been like, all right, well, forget all you guys. I'm out of here. I have my money. I have my beach house in Florida. Good luck. And as far as Colin, if you want him that bad, you can figure it out. I don't really care. But he didn't look at it that way, and he did whatever he could to kind of get K-State in the best position it possibly could while making the decision that was best for him in that moment.
You think Klieman throws some beach parties?
Yeah.
At the old house? I bet he makes a mean tequila sunrise.
Yes, I'm sure.
Or a Mai Tai or something like that. I didn't know he had until Ned mentioned his road trip to Florida because he's got a house down there. I was like, I never really saw Klieman as having a second home as a vacation spot on the beach somewhere in Florida. He didn't seem like that kind of guy. He seemed like more like a mountains guy.
When you're living in Fargo, North Dakota for that long, I imagine you're
fair.
Especially in the months of February and March, you're looking probably for a way out for a little bit.
If he didn't step away from college football, he's not going to be able to enjoy this home.
That's true.
Because if the months he's trying to get away, he's recruiting. And he even say it's not even really recruiting.
Yeah.
It's making deal. I mean, if you notice how quickly all these things are happening, to me, it's are these kids that are in the portal, are they really visiting? It can't be like a high school visit.
No, it's different.
You're there to. It feels like more like a meet and greet. Maybe you are seeing some facilities, but it's probably
business. Yeah.
It's a business trip.
Absolutely.
It's a business meeting, you know, with the exception of most of the work is being done by the agents. It's not being done by the student athlete. Yeah. The coaches are evaluating, GMs are talking to agents.
Yeah.
For the most part. I don't have a number for you. I have no idea. But no doubt the majority of college football players college basketball players, I would assume, have agents.
Yeah.
Isn't that fair? I would assume most of them do. So the agents, why they have them? To do that work for them, get them as much money as they can, from what I understand. But Coach mentioned he's resting easy, that Colin is going to be the guy. It doesn't sound like Klieman is just waiting to move out of Manhattan and go somewhere else. They're staying for now, from what I understand. They're going to be hanging around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's got kids kind of spread out in a couple different places, a couple up in Fargo. I believe his youngest, Colby, is in Kansas City now.
Kansas City.
He was at Kansas Wesleyan. And so...
kind of a central hub.
Yeah, so I mean, and in some ways that may work out good for them, or they may want to maybe they still have a place in Fargo. I don't know that front, but I imagine that they'll be around. I don't think that Chris Klieman is going to be a stranger, especially for as long as, his very good friend Gene Taylor is serving as athletics director, and, his protege in some ways, Colin Klein, is coaching here. I imagine that we'll see Coach and his family off and on.
Well, and based on Kleiman's legacy, which maybe others look at it differently, maybe the lasting result, or the lasting effect, is what you got last from Klieman, which was a disappointing 6-6 year. But it's kind of like the same with Bruce. Like, everybody wanted Bruce out. He was struggling, lost to Fort Hays State. Everybody remembers the losses, but I remember, Elite Eight run. I remember, NCAA tournaments, of course, but, winning 2 Big 12 championships. I can picture the wins and all that, but with Chris Klieman, he didn't lose to KU.
No.
Would have gone to 6 bowl games if they didn't opt out this year, right? 6 of the 7 years minus the COVID year. A lot of NFL draft picks. Still had walk-ons. Go on to do great things. He had 2 of the 3 best running backs in program history. Won a Big 12 championship. I feel like Klieman, I think he 100% deserves a curtain call.
Absolutely.
Bill Snyder Family Stadium, if it's that first game against Nichols or whoever the hell, he deserves a standing ovation from Bill Snyder Family Stadium. One more bow, and then off into the sunset. We got to take a break. This week in the Big 12, going to wrap up Wildcat Insider next.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider. The Ramsey Show.
The common denominator among people that win with money is they budget. If you want to win at something, winning is a series of intentional acts. If you want to be married successfully, it's a series of intentional acts and behaviors and attitudes. If you want to be fit, it's a series of acts and behaviors and attitudes. Building wealth is the same way. You don't accidentally become wealthy. Oops! Said no millionaire ever.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show, weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN. News Radio KMAN. Weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 55 degrees and partly cloudy skies. Wind out of the west just at around 3 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low around 33 as we head into tomorrow. That wind picking back up, 20 miles an hour, the gusts out of the west with a high near 63 and partly sunny skies. 20% chance of rain before midnight on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, mostly sunny and a high near 42, winds gusting as high as 25 out of the north.
All right, this week in the Big 12, the K-State women only play once, and they're going to be at number 17 Texas Tech. That'll be on the 17th, so that'll be Saturday, 1 o'clock, and I don't know if you heard about Texas Tech. They now have a gal on the team that is 7'1",
Yeah.
the tallest player in women's college basketball history. Crazy. No idea how to say her name. No idea. I'll probably never know. Texas Tech does not come here this year. On the men's side, no games today. Tomorrow, you do have number 2 Iowa State at Kansas. Iowa State undefeated. They're a 3.5-point favorite going into Allen Fieldhouse. Tickets are cheap. I mean, they're less than $50. And Allen Field for number 2 Iowa State. I mean, that's every year. That's a big game.
That should be a marquee. Yeah, that's crazy.
West Virginia at Houston tomorrow at 7:30 on FS1. Wednesday is when K-State will host UCF. That'll be a 5 o'clock tip-off. 5 o'clock PowerCat game day. 7 o'clock tip-off right here on K-Man. And also on 1015 K-Rock. Speaking of cheap tickets, $8 on the secondary sites. Number 1 Arizona hosting Arizona State. TCU at BYU. Nothing really notable on Wednesday. KU is actually hosting Baylor on Friday. It's not Saturday, it's Friday. 7 o'clock on Fox.
Okay.
Yeah, they're putting, I've seen more so far. The Big 12 has played more on Friday than they have on Monday. Big 12 games. More Friday games than Monday games. The first big Monday for the Big 12 isn't until like the end of the month, which is really crazy, it seems like. In the Big 12 on Saturday, the marquee matchup at 7 o'clock is number 11 BYU and number 15 Texas Tech. That's in Lubbock, United Supermarkets Arena. BYU still undefeated in Big 12 play. By the way, do we know who the teams in the Big 12 that don't have a win yet in conference play? Do we know there's 4 teams?
So K-State, Cincinnati.
Yep.
Utah.
Yep.
And
Baylor.
It's Baylor.
Baylor
is 0-3. They've had a schedule like K-State. 2 of their 3 games have been against top 25. Houston beat them to death on Saturday. It was real rough.
Yikes.
Yep. K-State trying to climb out of the cellar of the conference. Starts with UCF Wednesday, PowerK Game Day, 5 in the afternoon. Tips off at 7 from Bramlage Coliseum. That's going to do it. I will not be in studio, but I'll try to get on air as quickly as I can from Junction City High School. Tribe at JC for a pair of games tomorrow starting at 5:45. For Cole, Tim, I'm Mitch. 2 hours, the game tomorrow. Go Cats.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN.